The purpose of the Tallinn Manual project, both the first Tallinn Manual and the second edition that we're working on right now, is to take existing international law and apply it in this new cyber context. So instead of urging states to adopt and develop new international law, we are putting forth the argument that they can actually take existing law and apply it in this cyber context. Well, Tallinn 2.0 is different from the first Tallinn Manual in the sense that whereas the first Tallinn Manual deals with the most egregious cyber operations, those that would enable states to respond with military force to cyber attacks, or those that occur during an actual armed conflict or war, Tallinn 2.0 deals with such cyber operations that are most frequent, those that states face on a day-to-day basis. And I think in this sense, Tallinn 2.0 is different because it will be used more often by state legal advisors.
What we're trying to do is look at the existing legal framework, work out the extent to which it applies, where the gaps are, where the novel challenges to the existing law are, and adding those parts of the law that we think try and close some of those gaps.
The final outcome will be a manual consisting of black letter rules, in other words, basic rules of international law that all of the international group of experts, all 20, agree with. In addition, we're working hard to capture all the reasonable interpretations of those rules. So in many cases we may have a rule, but we acknowledge that there may be 2, 3, or even more interpretations of how that rule applies in practice. And indeed, that's the strength of our manual. We don't purport to replace state legal advisors and other academics. What we're trying to do is to gather together to identify what law everyone agrees on and to identify those areas where further work needs to be done.
It's very accessible to practicing legal advisors. First of all, it reflects consensus views on broad problems and broad issues, but at the same time it provides states and their legal advisors various reasonable interpretations of existing international law, and that is very important for states from an international policy perspective.
So often in the making of or clarification of international law, the international community is reactive to new dangers, to new developments. And this, I think, is a really important attempt to be proactive. We all understand the importance of cyber attacks and how damaging they can be. But we've tried to gather a group of experts together to proactively clarify the state of the law in an area that states are still asking questions about what law is going to apply.
In this particular manual, what we've done is brought together 20 of the world's experts, scholars and practitioners together to assess the international law applicable to cyber during peacetime operations. In addition, all of our work is being peer-reviewed by scholars around the world, and additionally, we've been presenting our material to states. We've had one meeting with states in The Hague, and we will have a follow-up meeting with states later on in the process.
The composition of the group is really international. We have experts not only from the Western world, we also have experts from other countries. This composition allows the experts to have different perspectives to better understand how different countries understand international law.
The fact that it's an independent group is the key to the process. Even though some of the members of the group, like myself, work for a state, we are government legal advisors, nevertheless, all of us are here in our private capacity, and this is critical because politics stay out of the room in which we're working. In my view, and my personal view, politics have confounded the discovery of how international law applies to cyber operations. And so the beauty of this group is we're factoring politics out and truly looking for what the law is. We're proceeding on track. We hope to have a manual that's produced, Tallinn 2.0, which will be an addition to Tallinn 1.0, sometime in the summer of 2016. Everything's on schedule.